Welcome to part 2 of my critique of this insanely misogynist video entitled Stop Arguing with Women, Time to Examine Our Own Behavior. Now, as I was saying, even if you were correct in your contention, Barbarossa, that some women oftentimes do use child support as a means of extracting money from men and unjustly use children as pawns in this money extraction scheme. Even if that is entirely correct, the way you phrase this is entirely inaccurate. You say something to the effect of women, this supposed independent group, women use children as an extraction mechanism. Now, certain women certainly may use child support selfishly for their financial benefit as opposed to for the welfare of the children. Certain divorced women may use this selfishly to their benefit, unjustifiably. So then say that. Say that in my personal experience, or in various anecdotes I have heard, and give specifics about how certain women used their children as an excuse for extracting money unfairly from men. Don't say this supposed individual, independent-minded group does this. Women, like men, are individuals. They are diverse, and they vary widely. They vary widely in their moral compasses, they vary widely in their actions, they vary widely in their physical appearance. As I'm sure you know, they vary, in a variety of ways. That was rather redundant. They vary in a variety of ways, but in any case, this objectification and group mindset about how all women are allegedly the same and how we're going to paint this picture of the women as money extractors as opposed to pointing to specific instances in your experience about women who have behaved in an unjust fashion, just like certain men routinely behave in an unjust fashion, is unwarranted, and it simply peels the veneer away from your supposed rational argumentation, your supposed intellectual approach and analysis. It shows you simply for the misogynist that you are, as opposed to someone who's actually engaging this in an unbiased, rational, neutral fashion.
How can women as a group claim to be useful, productive members of humanity if they do?
Which women as a group are claiming? Which women are claiming to be productive members of humanity? How can women as a group claim to be productive members of humanity? How can women as a group claim anything? Some women claim to be, decent human beings. Some people claim to be evil human beings. Some people claim to be propagators of all that is good. Some people don't make any claims about their morals whatsoever. So when you say, how can women as a group claim to be decent, productive members of society, it's simply an absurd, what do you mean? I don't even understand what you mean there. Certain women are beneficial members of society, certain are not, women are not. Certain women are kind and compassionate, and others are intelligent but cruel. Some kind of compassionate ones are unintelligent. Some women are both unintelligent and unkind. Some women are both intelligent and kind. The same is true of men. Stop painting this broad picture. Stop making these inaccurate, unsubstantiated generalizations.
Do this. Ask yourself if I'm wrong. Look over to the woman you're with and ask yourself and answer honestly. If it wasn't for the fact that she could dispense sex, and if it's something that you want, have children for you, would you ever talk to this woman at all?
Well, perhaps if you would not speak to any women or any attractive women if it were not for their ability to dispense sex, but that's because you're a virulent misogynist. I know multiple attractive women. I would continue to associate with them regardless of their ability to dispense sex. I think that most men are like me in this respect. That they value women for their intellect, for their compassion, for their diverse personalities, etc. They do not simply value them for their ability to dispense sex. This question is more a reflection of your hatred for women than it is for any kind of societal norm. And even if it is a societal norm, then we should critique that societal norm because it degrades and dehumanizes an entire group of people unjustifiably that are diverse and have a variety of interests and desires and fears and etc. Yes, women are people too. They have a variety of interests, fears, personalities, desires, attributes, flaws, the list goes on. The fact that you can't recognize this is simply indicative of the fact that you're blinded by your hatred.
Does she have any other redeeming qualities that would keep you around if sex simply did not exist?
Yes, actually, well, I'm not currently engaged in a romantic relationship, so perhaps others can better speak for me, but if I were engaged in a romantic relationship with a female, then I would look for a variety of traits. Physical attractiveness would be one of multiple traits that I would look for in a female if I wanted to engage in a mutually beneficial relationship with said female. I would look for intellect, common interests, kindness, and physical attributes. I would not exclusively look at physical attributes to the detriment and to the exclusion of all other factors that make this woman a sentient being, just like, to the same extent that men are. I mean, how you can make these comments just baffles the mind. It just boggles the mind. It's insane.
Let's face it, women never do much of anything other than depend on men.
Women never do much of anything other than depend on men. I mean, I can't even rationally argue this video because it's just a series of unwarranted, unsubstantiated, even anecdotally, they're not even anecdotally substantiated observations. Women do a variety of things just like men do a variety of things. Women run social justice organizations, women help the poor, women read to their children, women love their husbands or boyfriends or parents or siblings. I mean, what can you say to an absurd generalization like that?
Last 50 years of women claiming their independence from men amounts to nothing more than women using the government to make sure that men know we will have to keep on carrying them as we've done since the beginning of time.
Men have not carried women since the beginning of time. Numerous men in numerous societies have subjugated women, and that has diminished in the recent past. Now, certainly there are a variety of men, I'm quite willing to acknowledge, that are nice towards women, but the societal norm in the past has been very much one of subjugation and domination, not one of this supposed benevolent assistance, this benevolent carrying along and helping. No, it has been one of subjugation. If you don't know that, then you have not paid any attention whatsoever to history. And again, these general statements about how women should not allege their collective independence when they still depend upon men. Give specific examples and don't paint women as this monolithic entity.
Well, they mock and ridicule us.
Well, they mock and ridicule us. So do all women mock and ridicule men? Or is it far more prevalent that women will ridicule men than men will ridicule women? If you have not provided any justification whatsoever for this statement, then don't make it. And even if more women ridicule men than men ridicule women, this does not justify your use of the term they, as in the women as a monolithic entity. And again, even if maybe the fact that men mock and ridicule women more than, women mock and ridicule men more than men mock and ridicule women allegedly, maybe that's justified given the highly patriarchal nature of our society.
Simply ask the men listening to just stop supporting women in any way. Just stop it.
Stop supporting women in any way. So you're alleging that women unjustifiably, as a group, critique and mock and make fun of men. This is a cruel action that you do not justify, that you view as a detrimental facet of our society, that women engage in verbal abuse towards men. So I already outlined some of the issues with this statement, but now you're going to say that men should stop supporting women. Is that not an unjust, inhumane, act for men to stop supporting women? You should just stop supporting women? Does that mean that when a woman that you know loses a loved one, that you should not comfort them, you should not assist them through their difficult time? Does that mean that when a woman is having a stressful situation in their life of one kind or another, such as a difficult time at work, an excessively demanding boss, that men should not comfort them and work through this issue with them? I mean, if you want to specifically critique certain women and their cruelty, fine, provide specific examples, but don't paint this broad brush. Don't imply that men are not similarly and frequently, and probably far more frequently, cruel towards women and degrading towards women as you are being in this video. And don't advocate that men withdraw all their support from women, which is extremely hypocritical in the context of the fact that you're criticizing women for being cruel to men. Then you go ahead and advocate men being cruel to women. Simply absurd. Simply, again, shows that you're not approaching this rationally. You're approaching this from a standpoint of irrational misogyny. Deep shame.
Stop arguing with women. I've personally made the decision that I'm done trying to justify anything for women. The group of human beings on this planet with the lowest and poorest understanding of what justice, fairness, and equality.
Another unsubstantiated, sickening generalization. What is justice and equality to you? Making a video that generalizes and degrades an entire group of people without acknowledging the diversity in their personalities and wants and desires and fears and etc.?
We actually are. A group of human beings that can pretend an injustice is justice so long as enough will...
Give a specific fucking example of certain women pretending that a certain injustice is justice. And are you alleging that men don't do this? Are you alleging that the ubiquity of rape in our society is not an indication of the fact that a decent percentage of men have a very poor understanding of justice? Or do you think it's justified that men rape women? Do you think it's justified that men abuse women? Certain men. Not all. Not men as a group. Because genders are not monolithic as you seem to think in your blind hatred.
Women pretend to agree that it isn't an injustice. Why argue with a group of people that can collectively re-engineer their version of reality?
Why are you with a group of people that can collectively re-engineer their version of reality? What does that even mean? Why are you with a group of people? So women should denounce womanhood? They should denounce the female gender? I mean, who are you addressing specifically? Who are you addressing when you say that? When you question why women are with a group of people that allegedly is responsible for all these terrible injustices and does not have a proper understanding of what justice is and etc. I mean, obviously it's impossible to denounce one's gender. Are you alleging that the quote-unquote good women should quote-unquote denounce the masses of bad women? I'm unclear as to what you're saying. It seems just like another unsubstantiated generalization.
Stability of fairness. Why go back and forth with a group of people who believe that they are utterly and completely above having to triumph over hardship? In their reality,
Oh, now I see. You're addressing men. You're saying the men should detach themselves, disregard all women, denounce women, or just use them for sex and denounce all their other valuable traits. You're alleging that they should do that because there's such a terrible group of individuals. So let me replay that last statement you made.
Justice. Why argue with a group of people that can collectively re-engineer their version of reality to avoid any kind of responsibility or fairness? Why go back and forth?
Any kind of responsibility or fairness. So you think no women, or the vast majority of women, never acknowledge responsibility for their actions, never apologize for the unjust actions they engage in, have no concept of fairness, of what is fair? I mean, I know women that have a concept of what is fair. I know women that have taken responsibility for their actions, that have apologized for unjust actions, that have altered their actions so as to be less quote-unquote irresponsible. I mean, where are you pulling these absurd notions from?
Or from a group of people who believe that they are utterly and completely above having to triumph over hardship.
Women are utterly and completely above having to triumph over hardship, or they believe